Hello, everyone. Welcome to our segment today. My name is Elisha and I work at Ownr. Today, we're joined by Aziz, my coworker. Please let our audience know who you are, what do you do, what do you get up to here at Ownr with RBC?
Thanks, Alicia. First off, it's always such a pleasure to chat with you. It's usually like when we do these little videos, probably a highlight of my day each time. So,
Oh, thank
first
you. I
off,
paid you to say that for sure.
yeah. Sponsored content.
Yeah.
Hey everyone. For those who don't know me, maybe people have encountered me through our videos or even just learning about the Ownr product. But for those who don't, my name is Aziz. I'm a senior account manager here at Ownr. So I have the great pleasure of working directly with our entrepreneurs on all things incorporation and business registration. So really helping our entrepreneurs understand the nuances of the Ownr product, about how they can use technology to start and run and manage their business moving forward. So always happy to chat all the benefits that come with incorporation. A lot of great stuff happening right now. We're in April, so tax season's upon us. People are using a lot of great tools that Ownr has. We're having a bit of a flash sale on our higher tier product, which you can chat with me and my team about. So just happy to be here, Alicia.
Yay! I'm really excited. Today's subject is going to be us just really diving into and discussing how small businesses can benefit from actually having a registered business, especially when it comes down to tax season. So I'm really excited for us to be able to dive in here. Aziz is one of our experts and can really help us walk through some of the benefits you may find if you have a registered business, the difference between an Inc. and a sole proprietorship, and what you need to look for along the way. There are certain things that we won't dive too deep into for time's sake, but you are so free to reach out to our support department and we can assist you there, or our sales department, and they can walk you through a demo. So I want to dive into our first question here, and really, it's just for us to set a foundation. So before we get into the tax benefits of registering a business, are you able to describe business registration to our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is actually a really good way to start, because I think it's common that we want to just skip ahead and learn about incorporation or the benefits of tax credits and things like that. But really, way before then, entrepreneurs are usually faced with a much more fundamental decision, and that's the type of business that they want to set up. So typically on Ownr and in general, usually when folks are starting a business, they're thinking of generally two business structures, either a sole proprietorship or a corporation. So just super quick overview here. A sole proprietorship means essentially that you're the sole owner of a business, but it's not distinct from you. So you and the business are kind of one and the same. You as the owner, you take on all responsibilities, profits, and debts of the company. Whereas on the other hand, when you've incorporated, and a corporation of itself is actually the creation of an entirely separate legal entity from yourself. So incorporation limits your personal liability. It's really useful for helping you raise funding and can offer some considerable tax credits, which we'll kind of talk about here today.
Amazing. Yes. I love letting people know the difference, because there are obviously very different potential tax benefits available to either yourself if you have a sole proprietorship, or to your business if you have an incorporation. And those are things to really consider as people walk through the steps of whether or not they want to register their business and what path to go down. I think that's one of the first questions I always get from people. Should I have a sole prop or should I have an incorporation? What is the difference? I had that conversation yesterday. So I'm going to send this video along to the person I was talking to, because I feel like it'll really help them in their journey. So I'd love to know and really kind of dive in. Are you able to describe the difference between the tax benefits for incorporations versus sole proprietorships? I kind of gave people a little hint there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll probably there's more to uncover here, and we'll kind of get to it in a bit. But even just learning about the type of benefits. So for incorporations, just this is super general. Incorporations, the entrepreneurs that are running them usually have the potential to qualify for small business tax deductions and other tax benefits. So whether that's through federal tax programs or something on the provincial end, it really just depends on like the type of business that you're running, what you might be eligible for. It's a great idea to chat with your accountant to get more information. And then on the sole proprietorship and the tax benefits, because of the nature of the sole proprietorship, would actually be more so for personal tax credits rather than something that's catered to small business. Happy to get kind of like deeper into the two there, but generally that's sort of what you're looking at is either like small business tax credits, and if you're a sole proprietor, personal tax credits. And again, chatting with an accountant is always a good idea.
Yes, that is like our biggest disclaimer here, is that talking to your accountant, talking to your lawyer, those are the most important parts, like attending our demos as well too, and chatting with our team. We can also answer any deeper questions here. This is just kind of an informational session. So yes, like as you mentioned, of course, there's a difference between the personal benefits and then the business benefits. So let's start with the personal benefits and with sole proprietorship. So what are some of the potential personal tax benefits of registering a sole proprietorship?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like it's usually people probably gravitate towards the simplicity of the tax structure first and foremost. So because as a sole proprietor, what we kind of established before, you, the business, one and the same. So all the revenue that's coming into the company is just personal income. So really, when you're filing your personal taxes, you're also kind of filing your business taxes together, and we'll have access to those personal tax credits usually. A lot of people really, like when they're first starting out, do prefer a sole proprietorship because of that simplicity. They're not thinking about filing their own tax credit, their own taxes, and then for a corporation, for example, rather just kind of filing everything together. So I think usually for sole proprietors, it really just comes down to simplicity. That's probably like the one bigger advantage over corporations. Corporations have a lot more like actual sort of like meaty benefits to taxes, but with sole proprietorships, it's simply just like doing less work essentially.
100%. And I think that was the biggest draw for me when I was registering my business before I even joined Ownr, was when I did my research into incorporations, which are awesome and important and have an incredible place in your entrepreneurial journey. But when I was initially starting out my business, which is like a small meditation business, I kind of said, okay, what do I want to have to do? Because you and I are going to get into that, into inks and filing your taxes like with an incorporation. But there are two different types of things you have to file. There's paperwork you need to fill in. Sometimes you do have to consult with a lawyer and an accountant. There are just a lot of things to get into with it versus with my sole proprietorship tax filings. I like contact my accountant and I'm like, here's my books. Like, this is what everything looks like. Here are my business expenses and here are my personal taxes. Goodbye. Like, I hand over my T4, I hand over all my things, and then I just give it to her. And then she messages me back. She's like, this is how much you owe, or this is how much the government owes you. And then I'm good to go. Right. So
easy. Yeah.
Simplicity is big, especially as a solopreneur. I think that is really huge. As somebody without a team at this time, it really is important for me to have like the least amount of work possible with admin things so I can really focus in on the things that I love doing.
Yeah. It's all about where you can kind of hand things off, right, and automate.
Exactly. And wanted to jump in before we continue, just to remind people to be sure to follow us, subscribe or like wherever you are watching this video to get more content like this on how to start and grow your business here with Ownr. We have a lot of really fun deals, a lot of education and information as to how you can really not only start your business, but really grow and find success along the way. So yeah, just wanted to remind all of you, be sure to dive in there, follow us, stalk us on the internet.
And such good resources. I usually I tell people, I'm like, don't Google stuff. Go to Ownr's blog. Go to our help center.
Come to us.
Like a Canadian context. It's a lot more direct, right? Like when you're just doing some just like general research, all types of American resources from the UK, resources from people who might not know what they're talking about necessarily. So
that is so true. Yes, especially with the international voices popping in. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could do XYZ. And I'm like, no, only available in the UK. So yeah, we give the Canadian context. That is the important part. Well, I wanted to dive into our next question here, which is, what are some of the potential business tax benefits from registering an incorporation?
Yeah. So I think this is kind of what most people gravitate towards, right? When people are looking at incorporating, sure, they're looking at reducing their personal liability for a lot of businesses, they're not even working with necessarily like a product or service that has too much liability. So they really gravitate towards the tax advantages with corporations, right? So I think we can kind of start with industry specific stuff, and then more so just like some foundational pieces. So depending on your industry, your business could actually qualify for a range of federal tax benefits and credits. So for example, if you work in film and video production, you can qualify for a tax credit. There's some other qualifying industries, according to the CRA, things like scientific research, journalism will be eligible for different tax credits and breaks and things like that. And then also provinces and territories have their own, small business deductions and things that can be taken advantage of, which do result in corporate tax savings. So
That's
with
really
that,
cool. Yeah, sorry,
yeah.
Go for it.
No. I think like kind of just on that point, I think just leveraging and understanding everything that the government has to offer is always a really good idea. And then just to kind of really go back to it, that accounting conversation is going to be great because those are the individuals in our society who know about all this stuff, right? It could be a lot of effort to dig for all of these resources on your own. So being able to work with a professional that can at least help guide you in the directions of where these, credits and things like that are located is always a really good idea.
That's definitely so true.
Yeah. But in a more like fundamental sense, I think, rather than like specific industry specific things or provincial or federal credits, I think before that, a lot of people are eyeing incorporation for like a much simpler tax reason. And that's the way that the revenue comes into the company. So when we talked about sole proprietorships, the business, the individual being one and the same, all the revenue is just personal income. I have no control over that, right? So when it comes to file my taxes, just file my T4, do my personal and business taxes together, get going. We talked about how simple it is. But the more revenue that you start generating with your business, incorporation tends to make more sense because you have more control over what happens with the capital that's coming into the company, right? So usually when we'll talk to Ownr users, they'll be quoting things like, a lower corporate tax rate, or the ability to just pay themselves a small salary as they go through and keep more money in the business that they can put back into their business to help it grow. And even things like declaring dividends as a shareholder in the company, being able to, declare dividends on the profits that are coming in are really favorable for a lot of people because they're taxed at a much lower rate than, we would be on like our personal income tax. So, someone making $15,000 with no other income, sure, sole proprietorship, fantastic. As you might have another job, you might be doing a bit of a side hustle, things really blow up, you make $50, $70, $80, $100,000 with your business, could be useful to incorporate it and keep more of that money, right? And really, find some strategic ways around how to keep more within the business rather than, paying all that tax.
That definitely is really important to know because yes, the amount of money that you make definitely will help people determine how they're going to register their business, especially around their provincial and federal taxing as well. That is the big thing is when you collaborate and work with your lawyer and accountant, especially ensuring that they specifically understand where you are, how much money you're projected to make will really help you out in the end with a lot of those credits that you mentioned that were industry specific previously.
Yeah. And it could be a big, like, just shock, right? Like, I owe how much? What?
Right?
Like, where's it going? What's happening here? Like, I had such a great year, and then I'm hit with this thing that's just like, maybe I didn't have as great of a year as I thought, or I should have planned for this a little better. That's right now, actually, we're our team has launched a campaign recently for current Ownr sole proprietors. If anyone's out there that's kind of like viewing this, with a bit of a discount on incorporation through April, because it is tax season and it is favorable now if you've kind of gone through a year where you have had success and have maybe gotten a recommendation to incorporate, trying to just make that a little bit easier, reduce some of the cost around it. Again, April being tax month here.
Amazing. Yes, I will drop a link down below for all of you to be able to check out that deal and understand a bit more about it, which I love. So I'm still curious because obviously we talked about some of the benefits of registering with an Inc., registering with a sole proprietorship, but then I want to be a little bit self-serving and ask about what some of the ways that our Ownr like subscription model actually assists entrepreneurs and makes it a little bit easier for them as entrepreneurs who are filing their taxes with an incorporation. Like, what do we do on our side of things to help these people just live? easy life in tax season?
Yeah. That's a great question, and I think the first kind of piece is like we make it happen, right? Is like without that incorporation or without getting all the paperwork in place, it's kind of impossible to benefit from those things. So while Ownr is definitely, we're a legal tech startup, right? So we're not actually necessarily helping folks file their taxes directly. We do make sure that they have a foundation in place with the right paperwork and everything that actually makes that easier. So even some things on like the more advanced side, like we talked about dividends, for example, our managed corporation plan has the ability for folks to create dividend resolutions. So a dividend resolution is something that's actually really crucial come tax time. If you were declaring dividends through your corporation, you're going to need the correct paperwork in place that actually shows a record of that dividend payout, both for the corporation when it comes time to file its taxes and the individual shareholder as well, to have that proof of those payouts having occurred. So there's some really like more so indirect ways that give you, the health and good standing for your company to then make tax filing easier, and for your accountant to just, have an easier time with it when they're doing it. And then what I love is that Ownr is a huge ecosystem, right? So anywhere where our focus necessarily isn't, we try to partner with really strong partners who do provide those services. So folks can always check out our partners page for access to really top accounting firms, different business tools, and then our perks page for direct savings on things like QuickBooks, H&R Block, Xero. These are all fantastic partners of the platform, which have helped a lot of our users, understand those tax benefits and, filing and everything like that, while you have the confidence and understanding that my company is set up correctly. I have a great foundation. Now it's just time to take advantage of these things.
Yeah, that is awesome. I think that is a big thing that you mentioned too, is that we are not an accounting company itself, but we do know what it takes for businesses to build a great foundation to find success. And that includes collaborating and working with some of our partners who are there. Like you mentioned, so we have some accountants. I'll drop the links below to our partners page and as well to our perks page, so people can take advantage and understand. Because when I had initially registered for my Ownr account, I wasn't even focused on all of the benefits that come with actually registering my business with Ownr. I was just excited to have my sole prop. But then I dug a little deeper and I was like, I can get a discount to this and I can get a discount to that. So yeah, that is really exciting. And what's cool is some of those things also do qualify to as a deductible business expense, which is also another benefit too. So you then have the ability to potentially receive tax credits back from utilizing some of these perks that we have available too.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time, Aziz. This was such a good fireside chat. And I really hope that people are able to join us next week as well, too, as we dive in a little bit deeper into why you need a business bank account. We'll be joined by RBC and they'll be catching up with the rest of us on that. And if anybody has any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments down below, or check out the emails that I leave in the comments down below as well, too, to contact our sales department or our support department for more information. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.